In this screencast, we're going to learn how to make contrast masks. Contrast masks were used extensively in the black and white or the wet darkroom, but required time to do this. We'll see how we can quickly make a contrast mask in Photoshop. So if you have your workflow already established here, you want to do this probably fairly soon in the workflow since it adjusts the overall contrast of the image. So you can either do it at the very beginning, and if you choose to do it that way, I would take my background layer, in this case I have it layer 0, and I would make a duplicate layer of that. Okay, so I made a copy there, and I'll just rename this contrast mask. If you've done a little work up here and you've already established and you like what you see there, then what you can do is go ahead and make a new layer, okay, and put it on top of where you want to start this process. So maybe I've done it right there, so I'll put it there. And what I'll do is I'll make a composite layer of that. So I'll go up to my flyout menu up here, and I'll hold down the Option key, and I will say Merge Visible. Okay, and this will make a composite of these layers right here, and you can start from there. Okay, so either way, okay, we can go in here and we'll call this contrast mask. Okay, so once you've done that, what you want to do is first you want to set your blending mode to overlay. And that's going to make a very contrasty image, and you can then back your opacity off. You can start at about 80%, even though it looks like it's way too much. You can start about there. So I'll leave it at 80%. And then what I'll do is I'll desaturate that mask now. I'll turn this to black and white. So I'll go up to Image, Adjustment, Desaturate. Okay, and you see it made that mask now what was color. It made it now a grayscale, and you can see it really reduced the color in your image. That's okay. Then what we'll do is we'll invert that. So we'll do Command-I. Okay. And again, we see you probably get something that we don't want yet, but that's okay. And then what we'll do is we'll add a Gaussian blur to that. So I'll go up to Filter, Blur, find it here, Gaussian blur. And at this point, you're going to experiment with what looks good to you by upping the radius. And again, just by looking at the image there, you can get an idea of what you want it to look like. Okay, so maybe I want to go a little bit more. Okay, maybe something like that, and I'll say OK. Now, once that's done, now I can fine-tune this opacity if I want, like so, and we can see that that has dramatically affected the image. Now, it still might be too much. Again, I can pull it down if I want. Okay, maybe do something like that, or again, I can take that opacity and drive it right up there. So you can kind of set it to whatever looks good to you. And so now you're ready to go on and do some more of your overall adjustments. And again, I would recommend this doing early in your workflow, since it does affect the entire image, and it will kind of set the values as a starting point, and then you can work off it from there. So that's a quick way to make contrast masks.